You're here with Atlanta Haslam
and Connor,
and we are here reviewing the Deathly Hallows, the latest Harry Potter film in the series. Okay, summing up Harry Potter, sort of in a few sentences. Harry is on a quest to kill Voldemort. The way you can do this is by destroying Horcruxes. These Horcruxes are sort of his soul splitting into different objects. So Harry needs to destroy these to destroy Voldemort. Throughout this, there is lust and death and magic. And we are anticipating the next film, as it's been left on a cliffhanger, to see what happens to Voldemort and see whether Harry can complete his quest that was set by obviously the Mr. Dead Dumbledore. Our first topical conversation is the film that is a 12A. Do you agree with this, Connor?
Well, I think it's too violent for a 12A. I mean, death, tragedy just surrounds the whole film, so I don't think it's fair for young children to have to experience that, really. I mean, it's much grimmer than the previous films, obviously. You know, the death, Horcrux chase, Lord Voldemort coming back, it really has got a grim feel to it.
Yeah, it really does. Things like really, really dark all the way through, and then obviously you got your Dobby death. Sorry, that's a big spoiler, guys.
Yeah,
but
that's the emotional part right there.
Yeah, just that by itself. I mean, you know, the violence, and also you got the steamy moments.
Oh, yeah, talking about steam moments now, yeah, I mean, they're pretty much for 12A again. I mean, it's pretty steamy. You know, they are naked, and although I know it's like Ron's vision of Harry and Hermione, but it's still really steamy. It is, and it certainly sparks relationship issues there. I mean, they're meant to be friends and they start falling out. You know, there's a lot of relationship issues in the film, which really does make it feel more like it should be a 15. You know, as the teenagers develop, so are the audience as they watch it. It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, the relationship issues with them as well. But in this film, I feel that it's got sort of more sort of magic involved as well.
Yeah,
rather than just relationships, rather than like the last film.
Yeah, it's definitely got sort of like there's a mission in this one, as if it definitely is the last straw. As you can tell, it's the last film. They have to stop Voldemort, otherwise everyone will die. And you can really see that in the film, and we can also see the feels like a Nazi feel to the film as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like with the whole sort of mudbloods and stuff like that.
Yeah, it certainly feels like Nazi Germany in the film. I mean, I thought I was watching, I don't know, Schindler's List for a second there.
But who would be Hitler?
I don't know who would be Hitler. Voldemort, obviously.
I guess so. He's just killing off everyone. Talking about Voldemort, obviously he has no nose.
Yes.
This is done with computer graphics, and I think that gives it like a really scary feel.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely frightening. When I see him, I get shivers. You know.
I agree. I know his face is just crazy. He's got a crazy face. That crazy Hitler.
Yeah, definitely Hitler.
So the film is going to be 3D in the next part. This one wasn't 3D. Do you think it could have been better years?
Yeah, I think it could have been. I mean, if the first one isn't, then I don't see why the second one should, because it's just going to make confusion there. I think if the second one is, the first one has to. It's just going to look strange that the second one is.
I think sort of with the Horcruxes, I mean, they could have added so much more into the film.
Yeah, they could have. I mean, they spent too long concentrating on the actual chase to get the Horcrux, so they could have concentrated on maybe the relationships more. It's left a bit open, really. You know what's happened. We see a 2-second shot of Harry and Ginny at the beginning of the film, but we don't actually see that develop anymore. So it should have really concentrated on other aspects of the film. Really, I think it did go on for too long. Yeah,
I think they could have definitely put more Horcruxes in the first film, because now we're all just left up to the sort of last film.
Yeah.
Loads of action's going to happen. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to be. But if you're just watching like loads of Horcruxes get destroyed in 3D, your eyes are going to be just like going through your brain. It's going to be crazy.
I suppose that's the whole effect. The last film you want to finish this off. The icing on the cake. You want to get the last film right. So I think that's the effect, really.
Yeah. So the sort of landscapes in the film, sort of the moors and the sort of mountainside and maybe even the forest. Did you enjoy that?
Well, I think it was wonderful, but I just think it kind of drew us away from the whole point of the film. It just as if they spent too long trying to show the beautiful landscape and not actually the point of the film, the Horcrux chase. It drags on too much. We just want to get to the point where we see Harry and Voldemort fight together. So I just think it was a bit too much. They should have shortened it, really, perhaps, because it just really did drag on. What do you think on that?
I really like the scenes, like the sort of big landscapes and stuff, but I think it had a very sort of like Twilight-esque sort of feel to it, don't you think? It's like
Definitely, they're trying to copy Twilight, but no, it's not going to happen. I mean, we don't all like Twilight, do we? So.
No. We don't want to see like Robert Pattinson sort of just coming in again, like, hey guys. With the books, how do you think that the sort of film adapted around the books?
Well, I think it fit quite well actually. Every scene that was in the book was adapted quite well to the film. I mean, it really did portray the actual events quite clearly. However, I found that the book sort of, you can put more detail into a book because it's just written pages, whereas a film, it's as if they've had to shorten it just to fit it into a time slot, whereas the book can just be any length. So I think that really makes the film doesn't give us the same impact.
Did you enjoy reading the books more, or the sort of film, like watching the films? What do you think was executed better?
Well, the book was more entertaining. You can just pick it up and read it anywhere. But I thought the film was good because you can just relax and watch it. You don't have to. Such a long book, 700 pages odd, so it can get really boring reading lines constantly. So I think a film makes it more entertaining for the eyes, really. And you could eat chocolate whilst watching it.
And everyone likes a bit of chocolate. Talking about the films, do you think that they should have been put maybe into one film?
I think it would have been better because you don't have to wait in anticipation for months. I mean, it suddenly stops and you're like, I just want to watch the end because you've gotten so into it through the build-up, then it just stops. So I think really it could just be a big money grab. You know how much money they can make from 2 films as opposed to just 1. So it really should be looked into.
Very true. And also we're left on a cliffhanger on this one.
Definitely.
You know, Voldemort's sort of gone into Dumbledore's grave, nicked his wand, and sort of blasted up into the air. But I'm not too sure. I mean, having 2 films, they maybe could have put it into 1, but I guess you would have been sitting there for hours.
Yeah, I mean, it probably lasted 5 hours or so, to be honest. But yeah. I mean, it would have been better because then, as I say, you don't have to wait for months to watch it. But still, I think the last film should be a good film. Got a lot to look forward to, and we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Even at the start of the film, with like Dementors coming after Harry and stuff like that.
Yeah, it definitely is quite hard. I mean, especially when there's a bit where there's about 8 Harrys where they use the Polyjuice potion.
That's a fantastic bit. That is really, really funny. I found myself laughing my head off at that. You know, people like morphing, like Hermione's morphing into Harry. I think it's hilarious, and that's why I really like it, because I feel this film has more of a sort of magic aspect.
Yeah, it mixes the darkness, the magic and the humour together.
Yeah.
I think he does it really well.
What do you give this film as a rating?
Personally, an 8 out of 10. Great film, you know, exciting, anticipating, you're always thinking what's going to happen next, you just want to know what happens, but again, I think the fact that it stops halfway through the development of the film, you just want to know what happens, and I think making you wait, it just brings it down for me. And I think it concentrates too much again on just this long journey. You just want to see more action, it just sort of drags on too much for me, really, so I'd have to give it an 8 out of 10 for that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'd have to agree with maybe sort of a 9 out of 10. I mean, I sat there and I was just completely blown away, not only by sort of the storyline.
I mean, the special effects I thought were good.
Yeah,
I thought they were amazing, especially in the bike scene
yeah.
where they're going over the Dartford crossing.
Yes.
That scene, I thought the special effects were amazing for that.
Yeah, no, that was really, really fun, and obviously the Polyjuice potion as well that was used, sort of all the magic, sort of the spells, even when they're underground, when in the Ministry of Magic, and you know, when they're just firing at each other. I mean, just that itself, you know, the papers flying everywhere, that sort of thing. Yeah. You know, just all the sort of effects used, not necessarily special effects, but you know, the prop sort of thing as well. I was just completely blown away by it, and you know, the locations as well, very good, and the character development. So overall, I'd give it a lovely 9 out of 10. Thank you for listening. I've been Atlanta Haslam.
And I'm Connor Bath.
And we'll be joining you next week for Angelina Jolie and Johnny Depp's new film,
The Tourist.